Greetings, guitarists and YouTubers of all shapes and sizes. Today, we're gonna make some enemies. Wait, what? That's right, we're gonna make some enemies. We're gonna talk about the word we're not allowed to talk about in the guitar world. We're gonna talk about tonewood. Let's start with a definition. What is tonewood? Tonewood is the idea that the piece of wood I choose to make my guitar will actually change the final sound of that guitar. So, let's start with a really quick and easy answer and make everybody upset right off the get-go. Does it make a difference? Yes, it does. It absolutely does. Take it from a guy who plays with lots of weird and different woods on different necks of his guitars. It makes a difference. So, now let's stop there, let's go back, and there are three things we need to discuss before we can just say, yes, it makes a difference, okay, end the video. First, no two pieces of wood are identical. No two groves of trees are the same. No two trees within the same grove. The wood that came out of that grove of trees 50 years ago and now are not the same. Sorry. You cut that tree down, you take two identical bodies as close as you can to each other, you kiln dry them together, you put them on the same truck together, you get them to me, they are different. Those two bodies are not the same. I love to going to these fancy websites where they tell you a lot of stats about the guitars. I go to Kiesel Carvin's website and I go down and I find the guitars in stock, and there's two Jason Beckers. And Carvin, Kiesel, they take that CNC machine, and those guitars are as precise as you can get in measurement from each other. They are not the width of a human hair difference in any of the measurements. Yet one weighs 7.4 pounds and one weighs 7.9 pounds. Anybody that's ever taken all the parts out of a guitar knows the wood doesn't weigh that much in comparison. You take the Floyd out, you take the pickups out, you take the big heavy knobs off. The headstock does not weigh as much as the tuners that are in the headstock. If there's a half a pound difference in exact measurements of a guitar, those two pieces of wood are not the same, but they're the same kind of wood. So that leads us to the second point. Absolutes. If we're going to have a reasonable tonewood debate with education and wisdom behind it, we can't use absolutes. A maple body does this. A mahogany neck does this. A this does it. No. Yes, a maple neck may sound a little more in this general area, but what piece of maple? If we've got a terrible wet piece of maple that came from China last week, and we've got a 50-year-old piece of mahogany, they may sound a lot more alike than if we've got this beautiful piece of rock-hard maple and a terrible piece of mahogany that should have never been made into a guitar. These two may sound really similar, and these two may sound way out. So we have to stop with those absolutes. Oh, a maple top on a mahogany body sounds like this. That's part of the reason people get so upset about the whole tonewood debate, is the absolutes. Then the third thing, how much do we color our sound? Let's stop and be honest with each other. How much do we color our sound from the time it leaves that output? From the time it leaves the output to the time it leaves the speaker, chances are we're putting a lot of color on it. Now, some of the color is just in a cable. If you've ever taken a junk cable that you had when you were first starting out and you went and you got a really high quality cable and you went, whoa, my amp sounds brighter, because all the resistance of that terrible, awful cable were actually hurting your tone. If they're hurting your tone and coloring your sound, less of the small differences from the guitar are getting out of that speaker. So if you're running a 4-cable method and you've got 4 crappy cables, if you clean those up and put real high quality cables, you may get more of the actual guitar sound through your amp. It's not just heavy distortion and heavy digital effects. It's other things. It's, do I put a lot of chorus on there? Do I put a lot of reverb? If you put a lot of compression on the front of your clean sounds. We've all heard acoustic guitars and you go, whoa, that one's really bright. Oh, that's made of this wood and this wood. We know it makes a difference. But when we get to the electric world, and I listened to a band last night, it's the newer of the gent fashions, and they like a lot of digital distortion. I don't think you're going to hear the difference between a body wood on that sound. I don't think you're going to hear the difference between one pickup and another. I have sounds in my rig. I love playing with pickups. I've got probably 70 different pickups in this room, and I love playing with little articulate sounds. Some of my sounds out of my rig, I can't tell the difference between this DiMarzio and that DiMarzio. I really can't. Some sounds, yes. How much do we color our sound? We need to be honest about that, because when you say, oh, I can't hear a difference. Well, that's fine. Because we can't, don't tell Eric Johnson that he can't. Or don't tell Andy Timmons that he can't. If you plug your guitar into Andy Timmons' clean rig, you're going to hear the difference between one neck and another neck, or one body and another body, or a chambered body or a hollowed body from a solid body. These things do make a difference. They do. I'm sorry. We're going to show you a couple of things here real quick, and then we're going to wrap it all up. Number one, this guitar. This guitar taught me there is a difference in woods. This guitar is essentially real close to a George Lynch Kamikaze. Big, huge, thick piece of wood, bolt-on neck, and now I've even made it more like a Kamikaze. This had a maple neck on it that was moving a lot. I didn't like it, so I threw the neck away, and I put on a bamboo neck. And you say, bamboo? Never heard of that. I only know of 2 bamboo necks in the world, and this is 001. Yes, it's made of bamboo. The sound this guitar did make to the sound it makes now is violently different. So you can't tell me, no, it doesn't make a difference. Now, do some of my sounds, it make a huge difference? No. When you play it acoustically, yes. When you play it through clean tones, yes. When you don't color your sound that much, yes, it makes a huge difference. Now, the next one, we're going to prove to you that mass in a piece of wood or mass anywhere in the guitar makes a difference. We're going to prove it so well that you're going to go, doggone it, I got to change my tune. So, we've got this baby, and I'm going to show you how mass is going to make a difference in the sound of your guitar. We are going to take a stir stick that we went and got from Home Depot. We are going to break it in a couple of pieces. We're going to take those pieces. We're going to put one on the back and one on the front, because why? We make our guitars pretty. We want them to stay pretty. We don't want to hurt our guitars. This is going to keep what we're doing from hurting the guitar. We're going to take a nice big piece of vice grip. We're going to take it on the end of the headstock. We're going to put it right where we want it, and we're going to clamp that baby down. Now, don't clamp it down so it hurts the headstock, but make sure it's on there. Now, play a piece, record in your little cheap recorder or your $1 million recording equipment. Record something, then take it off and record it again. And tell me if that didn't make a difference. That right there added mass to the end of your guitar where all the vibrations stop. Now they don't stop here, and you've added mass so they don't stop here either. They continue. That's going to change the tone of your guitar. If you have a flat spot in a certain spot, especially on a bass, and you're finger bassing it, and you've got a couple of notes that just don't ring, do that when you record. Do that when you record, and it will change those flat spots. It will make them ring like they're supposed to. A lot of bassists actually will take a piece of metal and put it behind their tuning pegs just to do this idea so you don't have that ugly thing hanging off your headstock. That will make a difference. Try it and you'll say, whoa, hang on, that made a difference. If that makes a difference, mass makes a difference. If mass makes a difference, that big block they put on the back of the Floyd Rose, which does pretty much the same thing on this as this on the other side, that makes a difference. If mass makes a difference, 2 pieces of wood make a difference. If the heavier wood is going to make a difference in sound, in clarity, in sustain, in resonance, hey, maybe there is something to this tone wood debate. Okay, so let's go over the 3 ideas. Number 1, no 2 pieces of wood are the same. They just aren't. This baby from 1982 and something about like it made today, no, not the same pieces of wood. Number 2, stop with the absolutes. A maple body doesn't always do that. kind of goes off the first one. What piece of maple? Number 3, how much do you color your sound? Let's be honest about it in our own heads. If you are in the new gent movement that's real heavy digital and a lot of flat fingering and detuning, maybe you don't need to spend $1,600 extra by getting this body wood sandwich with this and this slice in the middle and a 7-piece neck with this or this. You may just not be able to hear it. Get a good quality guitar that you like the way it feels, you like the way it plays, and it's going to stay for a lot of years, and play. If you're going to go chase tone with Eric Johnson, you may want to know what kind of a chamber is in that body and what this and that and who's the maker and blah, blah, blah. Because I hear a difference, I can't tell you, and I don't want to tell you, yes, there's a difference, you have to hear it. Maybe your sound is such it doesn't hear it. Maybe you hear more than I do, because I like to play with a lot of gain and I like the sustain, and maybe I don't hear as much as you do. Let's stop fighting against each other and understand if we see those 3 principles, we can actually have a discussion about tonewood. We know it makes a difference in acoustics. We know it makes a difference in electrics when you play them acoustically. So why wouldn't it make a difference when it's plugged into an amp? This is Buzz Miller of Wannabe Studios. Let's keep on rocking. Catch you later.